Have you ever stopped, just for a moment, to ask yourself a hard, uncomfortable question? What if the breakfast you've trusted your entire life, the one you were told was healthy, responsible, and good for your heart, is actually doing the opposite? What if, little by little, it's quietly putting strain on your arteries, raising inflammation in your body, and aging your heart faster than it should? For decades, eggs have been praised as one of the most nutritious foods on the plate. High in protein, rich in essential vitamins, packed with nutrients the body needs to stay strong. And to be clear, this reputation is largely deserved. Eggs, on their own, are not the problem. But here's what most seniors are never told, even by well-meaning doctors or outdated health advice. Eggs don't harm the body by themselves. It's what you eat with them that can quietly turn a healthy breakfast into a serious health risk. Certain food pairings may look harmless. They may taste comforting. They may even feel familiar, like the breakfast you grew up with. But inside the body, these combinations can trigger reactions that slowly undermine your health. Nutritionists and heart specialists now recognize that some common egg pairings can increase LDL cholesterol, the kind that clogs arteries, trigger chronic, low-grade inflammation, cause repeated spikes in blood pressure, reduce arterial flexibility, and over time, raise the risk of heart disease, stroke, and metabolic decline. The most dangerous part? These effects don't happen overnight. There's no sudden pain, no obvious warning sign, no dramatic moment that tells you something is wrong. Instead, the damage happens silently, meal by meal, week by week, year by year, until one day, a routine blood test looks worse than it should. A doctor mentions arterial stiffness. Energy feels lower than it used to. Recovery takes longer, and the heart works harder just to do what once felt effortless. Today, we're uncovering 5 dangerous food combinations with eggs that seniors should avoid eating regularly. These are not internet myths. They're not fear-based rumors. They're patterns repeatedly observed by nutrition experts and cardiovascular specialists who study how food combinations affect the aging body. And stay with us until the end, because you'll discover how one simple adjustment to your breakfast can protect your heart, reduce inflammation, improve digestion, stabilize blood sugar, and help you feel lighter, clearer, and more energized throughout the day. You'll see that the solution isn't giving up eggs. It's choosing the right companions on your plate. Let's begin. 4 generations, eggs and bacon have been held up as the perfect American breakfast. It's the meal many people grew up with. The smell alone brings back memories of family kitchens, weekend mornings, and a sense of comfort and routine. Savory, satisfying, familiar, and for a long time, no one questioned it. But for seniors, this classic pairing is now recognized as one of the most damaging combinations you can regularly put on your plate. On their own, eggs offer real nutritional value. They provide high-quality protein that supports muscle maintenance. They contain vitamins essential for brain and eye health. And they include fats that, in moderation, help the body function properly. Bacon, however, tells a very different story. When bacon enters the picture, the entire metabolic effect of the meal changes. Bacon introduces excessive sodium that pushes blood pressure upward, preservatives and nitrates that irritate blood vessels, high levels of saturated fat that raise LDL cholesterol, and inflammatory compounds formed during high-heat cooking. When eggs and bacon are eaten together, the negative effects of bacon overwhelm the benefits of the eggs. The sodium load alone is enough to cause concern for older adults. As we age, the body becomes less efficient at managing salt. Blood vessels lose elasticity. Kidneys work harder to filter excess sodium. When you combine that with bacon's salt content, blood pressure rises, not just temporarily, but repeatedly. Each time this happens, the heart must exert more force to push blood through vessels that are slowly becoming stiffer and narrower. Over time, this constant strain contributes to chronic hypertension, increased arterial rigidity, reduced blood flow to vital organs, and higher risk of heart complications. The preservatives in bacon add another layer of risk. Nitrates and nitrites, commonly used to preserve bacon, have been shown to interfere with normal vascular function. In aging arteries, this can accelerate stiffness and reduce flexibility, two key factors that directly affect heart health. And then there's the saturated fat. When bacon and eggs are eaten together, saturated fat intake spikes sharply. This encourages the production of LDL cholesterol, the type that adheres to artery walls and contributes to plaque formation. What makes this combination especially concerning is how it's prepared. Bacon is typically cooked at very high temperatures. At these temperatures, it produces compounds called nitrosamines. These compounds are associated with oxidative stress, increased inflammation, damage to blood vessel lining. When nitrosamines interact with cholesterol from eggs, they amplify inflammatory responses in the bloodstream. Some cardiologists quietly refer to this combination as a breakfast stressor, a meal that doesn't cause immediate harm, but accelerates vascular aging over time. In practical terms, this means arteries age faster than the rest of the body. Fatigue appears earlier, circulation weakens, recovery slows, and the heart has to work harder for basic tasks. A real-life example helps illustrate this clearly. Robert, age 74, followed the same morning routine for years. 2 eggs, 3 strips of bacon, black coffee. He believed he was doing the right thing, avoiding sugar, keeping carbs low, and eating what he'd always been told was a strong, protein-rich breakfast. During a routine medical checkup, his doctor noticed early signs of arterial stiffness and rising blood pressure. Robert was shocked when his diet came up as a primary contributor. With guidance, he replaced bacon with avocado slices, sautéed vegetables cooked in olive oil. Within a few months, his blood pressure improved and his morning energy returned. He didn't give up eggs. He changed what he ate with them. This distinction is critical. Eggs can support heart health, but when paired with bacon, they become part of a combination the aging heart doesn't need. If you crave the savory satisfaction bacon provides, there are far safer alternatives. Avocado for healthy fats, sautéed mushrooms for umami flavor, lean turkey or plant-based proteins for balance. Your heart health is shaped by what you choose first thing in the morning. What feels comforting today can quietly cost you tomorrow. Eggs on their own can nourish the body. Eggs with bacon burden it. And the price is paid long after breakfast is over. Scrambled eggs with cheese. A fluffy omelet stuffed with melted slices. A warm breakfast sandwich dripping with gooey cheese. For many seniors, this feels like a comforting, protein-rich start to the day. It looks nourishing. It tastes satisfying. And it's often believed to be strong food that supports energy and muscle. But this pairing, especially when processed cheese is involved, is one of the most misunderstood threats to cardiovascular health in older adults. The problem isn't eggs, and it isn't cheese in its natural form. The problem is processed cheese and what happens when it's heated and combined with eggs. Processed cheese is not the same as real cheese. It is typically loaded with high levels of saturated fat, excess sodium that stresses blood vessels, artificial emulsifiers that disrupt fat digestion, preservatives and stabilizers designed for shelf life, not human health. When these components combine with the cholesterol and fats found in eggs, the body experiences a lipid imbalance. LDL cholesterol, the type that contributes to plaque buildup, rises. HDL cholesterol, the type that helps clean arteries, drops. This imbalance is especially problematic for seniors because aging bodies are less efficient at processing dense fats. Here's what many people don't realize, and what often goes unmentioned in basic nutrition advice. When processed cheese and eggs are heated together, they form fat structures that are harder for the body to break down. Instead of being efficiently digested and cleared, these fat molecules remain in the bloodstream longer. Increase blood viscosity. Encourage cholesterol particles to adhere to artery walls. Over time, this contributes to reduced arterial flexibility, increased blood pressure strain, slower circulation, higher risk of plaque formation. As arteries stiffen, the heart must pump with greater force just to maintain circulation. This doesn't cause immediate symptoms. Instead, seniors may notice feeling unusually heavy or sluggish after breakfast, slower digestion, reduced morning energy, gradual increases in cholesterol during routine checkups. A real-life example makes this clearer. Linda, age 72, started her mornings with an egg and cheese breakfast sandwich nearly every day. She stayed active, walked regularly, and felt she was doing everything right. Yet year after year, her cholesterol numbers continued to climb. Her doctor eventually pointed out the pattern, not her activity level, but her breakfast choices. When Linda replaced processed cheese with fresh vegetables, a small amount of natural cheese like feta or goat cheese, her cholesterol levels improved, and she noticed her digestion felt lighter and less sluggish. "I didn't realize how heavy my breakfast made me feel until I changed it," she said. This highlights a critical distinction every senior should understand. Natural cheeses, used sparingly, are not the problem. Feta, goat cheese, or small portions of aged cheese contain fewer additives, are easier to digest, provide calcium and beneficial fats. Processed cheese, however, is engineered for melting and shelf life, disrupts normal fat metabolism, overloads the body with sodium and artificial compounds. When paired with eggs, it turns a potentially nourishing meal into a slow-moving cardiovascular burden. If you enjoy eggs in the morning, the safer approach is not elimination, it's substitution. Choose vegetables for volume and fiber, healthy fats like olive oil, small amounts of real, minimally processed cheese. Eggs can still support strength and vitality as you age. But when combined with processed cheese, they quietly work against the very heart you're trying to protect. The danger isn't dramatic. It's gradual, and that's what makes it so easy to overlook. Eggs with pancakes, eggs with waffles, eggs followed by pastries, muffins, or sweetened toast. For many people, this feels like balance. Something savory, something sweet, a complete breakfast. But inside the body, especially an aging body, this pairing creates metabolic chaos. What looks like comfort on the plate becomes a tug-of-war inside your bloodstream. Eggs digest slowly. They release energy gradually. They help stabilize blood sugar and support steady insulin response. Sugary breakfast foods, on the other hand, behave very differently. Refined sugars and white flour digest rapidly. They flood the bloodstream with glucose. They force the pancreas to release a large amount of insulin all at once. When eggs and sugary foods are eaten together, the body struggles to find balance. The slow digestion of eggs collides with the rapid sugar spike from refined carbohydrates. Instead of smooth energy, the result is a sharp rise in blood sugar, followed by an equally sharp crash, and repeated insulin surges the body must manage. For seniors, this pattern is especially damaging. As we age, cells become less sensitive to insulin. The pancreas works harder to keep blood sugar stable. Recovery from metabolic stress takes longer. When this breakfast pattern repeats day after day, it can lead to blood sugar crashes that cause shakiness or weakness, mid-morning fatigue and brain fog, increased insulin resistance, heightened systemic inflammation. Many seniors don't connect these symptoms to breakfast. They assume it's just aging, or a poor night's sleep, or lack of energy. But often, it's the blood sugar roller coaster that begins with sweet breakfast foods. Over time, this repeated insulin stress increases the risk of type 2 diabetes, weight gain, especially around the abdomen, elevated triglycerides, increased cardiovascular strain. This is because excess glucose that isn't used immediately is stored as fat, particularly visceral fat that surrounds vital organs and increases inflammation. And inflammation, as cardiologists emphasize, is a major contributor to heart disease. What makes this combination especially deceptive is how common it is. Many people believe that adding eggs to pancakes or waffles balances the meal. In reality, the sugar spike still occurs, only now it's prolonged. Instead of a quick rise and fall, blood sugar stays elevated longer, increasing the burden on the heart and metabolic system. A healthier approach is not about skipping eggs. It's about pairing them with foods that support stability. Better pairings include eggs with non-starchy vegetables like spinach, tomatoes, or peppers. Eggs with whole grains in small portions, such as steel-cut oats or whole grain toast. Eggs with healthy fats like olive oil or avocado. These combinations slow glucose absorption, reduce insulin spikes, and support steady energy throughout the morning. The key principle is simple but powerful. Stability, not sweetness, protects the aging metabolism. When blood sugar remains steady, the heart works more efficiently. Inflammation stays lower. Energy feels smoother and more reliable. Eggs can help regulate metabolism, but when paired with sugary breakfast foods, they're pulled into a metabolic struggle the body never truly wins. And over time, the cost is paid in energy, circulation, and long-term health. Eggs and steak. Eggs and sausage. Eggs and ham. For many people, this combination represents strength, nourishment, and energy. High protein. Hearty portions. A belief that more protein means more health. And while protein is absolutely essential, especially for preserving muscle as we age, too much dense animal protein at one time places a heavy burden on the aging body. This is particularly true for seniors. Eggs already provide a complete protein source. They contain all essential amino acids and are efficiently absorbed. When eggs are paired with red meat, the body receives a concentrated surge of animal protein and saturated fat all at once. For a younger metabolism, this may be manageable. For an aging metabolism, it creates strain. This pairing significantly increases saturated fat load, which raises LDL cholesterol, digestive workload, slowing stomach emptying and circulation, uric acid production, stressing kidneys and joints, inflammatory markers that affect blood vessels. Digestion is not a passive process. After eating, blood flow is redirected to the digestive system. The heart works harder. Oxygen demand increases. When meals are overly dense, especially with heavy animal proteins, this demand rises sharply. In seniors, this can lead to post-meal fatigue, heaviness in the chest or abdomen, sluggish circulation, reduced energy for hours afterward. Red meat also contains compounds that, when broken down, increase uric acid levels. Over time, elevated uric acid can stress kidney function, increase joint inflammation, contribute to circulatory inefficiency. This is why many older adults notice stiffness, swelling, or fatigue after protein-heavy meals, even if those meals are considered healthy. There's also the issue of saturated fat. When eggs and red meat are eaten together, saturated fat intake rises sharply. This encourages cholesterol particles to become more rigid and more likely to deposit in artery walls. Over time, this contributes to reduced blood vessel flexibility, slower circulation to extremities, elevated cardiovascular risk. Again, this damage doesn't appear suddenly. It develops quietly. Routine blood tests slowly change. Energy subtly declines. Recovery takes longer. And many seniors assume this is simply aging, when in reality, it's often dietary load. This does not mean eggs or red meat must be eliminated entirely. It means they should not compete for dominance on the same plate. A smarter, more supportive approach is balance. Instead of pairing eggs with heavy meats, choose leafy greens, tomatoes, peppers, and onions, beans or lentils in small portions, whole grains in moderation. Plant-based sides provide fiber that improves digestion, antioxidants that reduce inflammation, nutrients that support circulation. This allows the body to absorb protein without being overwhelmed. Think of your breakfast as a signal to your heart, not a test of endurance. Eggs can support muscle, brain function, and energy. Red meat can be enjoyed occasionally. But together, especially in the morning, they place demands on circulation that aging systems don't need. Strength after 60 isn't about eating more. It's about eating smarter. And when protein is balanced instead of piled on, the heart, kidneys, and digestive system all benefit, quietly, steadily, and over time. Here's the truth, clearly and without fear. Eggs are not the enemy. Poor food combinations are. For years, many seniors were told to avoid eggs entirely. Then they were told eggs were fine again. The advice kept changing, creating confusion and frustration. But the real issue was never the eggs themselves. It has always been what we pair them with. Your breakfast is more than a meal. It is the first signal you send to your body every day. It tells your heart how hard it needs to work. It tells your metabolism whether to stay steady or struggle. It tells your digestive system whether to function smoothly or under stress. When breakfast is balanced, the body responds with lower inflammation, better circulation, more stable blood pressure, clearer thinking, smoother, more consistent energy. And over time, these small daily signals add up. By choosing the right foods to pair with eggs, you can reduce chronic inflammation that silently damages blood vessels, protect your heart from unnecessary strain, improve digestion so meals no longer feel heavy or exhausting, maintain steady energy instead of mid-morning crashes, and support strength and independence as you age. This isn't about strict diets. It isn't about fear. And it certainly isn't about giving up foods you enjoy. Sometimes, the most powerful health changes are not about eating less. They're about eating smarter. A small adjustment at breakfast, one better pairing, one healthier choice, can quietly improve how your body feels all day long. And when those days add up, they shape how you age. Aging well isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. If this message helped you, consider sharing it with someone you care about. A spouse, a friend, a parent, someone who still believes their morning habits don't matter anymore. Because they do. The right breakfast doesn't just fuel your day. It protects your heart, supports your strength, and adds life to your years, not years to your struggles.